So LG just opened pre-orders on the brand new 5K Hyper Mini LED gaming monitor. It ships in May, it's 1,200 bucks, and people are already ordering it. I've been gaming on a 5K monitor for a while now. I did the full video on the ASUS XG27 that launched earlier this year, so if you haven't checked that out already, I'll have it linked in the description. But when LG dropped the news on this one, I wanted to answer a question that I felt a lot of people might be asking, is if you buy a 5K monitor and pair it with a 5080, can you actually game on it? Or is 5K something that only makes sense that you have a 5090? So I tested 5 games to find out exactly that. So for the specs of the system, we're going with the Ryzen 9 9950X3D, obviously pairing that with the RTX 5080, and we're running 48 gigs of DDR5 at 6000 CL28. This is exactly the kind of build you'd want to pair with a 5K monitor and what most enthusiasts will be doing. So here's how I approached the testing. I didn't just slam everything to max settings and let it rip. That's not how you'll actually game if you have a 5080 on this. But for each game, I wanted to find the sweet spot for how it still looked incredible, but also provided a smooth gaming experience. We pretty much used DLSS across the board, and ray tracings, we really had to make some decisions. That was the real question, was not whether the 5080 can brute force 5K, but whether you can sit down and have a great experience. So without further ado, let's get into the numbers. So first up, we have Call of Duty, which is my main game, and competitive gaming at 5K is a little bit of a different conversation than a single player game where you just wanna have a showcase of scenery. But we got 140 FPS on average, 109% or 109 on the 1% lows, and overall it was a fantastic result. I'll have my optimized config file linked down in the description if you want to run that. Overall at 5K, the enemies are clear, the image is super sharp, and if you're a Warzone player eyeing a 5K monitor, the 5080 handles this without breaking a sweat. The second game I tested was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Indiana Jones is famous for being a VRAM problem at 4K, so I really didn't know what to expect running it on a 5080 at 5K. But you have to make a decision, and the decision I made was turning ray tracing off, and I had ultra settings everywhere else with DLSS turned on. The result was great. We got 133 FPS on average and 92% on the 1% lows, and it all still looks incredible, even without ray tracing. 5K resolution does a ton of the heavy lifting in terms of visual quality, so I didn't really feel like I was missing anything without having ray tracing. But this is exactly what I meant when I said that the 5080 at 5K makes you make decisions. You have to find the sweet spot, but you can still have a great 5K experience. Next up, we have Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders is on Unreal Engine 5, and it's one of the more visually ambitious extraction shooters out right now. We landed on the Epic preset, which is one below cinematic, and we had DLSS turned on. And we got about 98 FPS on average and 65 on the 1% lows. And UE5 games are, known for being punishing on hardware, but the 5080 handles this game very comfortably. Next up, we tested Crimson Desert at max settings with DLSS turned on. If you haven't heard of Crimson Desert, you probably will soon. They've sold 3 million copies in the first week and another million in the second week. So this is the hottest game out right now. And I ran this one completely maxed out with DLSS on, 65 FPS on average, 55% on the 1% lows. And this was the lowest result of the day, but the context matters. I mean, everything was maxed out on this, and it was more than playable. The game looks absolutely stunning on a 5K panel, and it's worth noting that there's some texture pop even in maxed out settings, and that's a known engine thing, not a 5080 or a 5K issue. Last but not least, we have Cyberpunk 2077, which at launch famously couldn't be run on anything, but it's the gold standard for GPU benchmarks, and maybe that was their problem, or maybe that was their idea the whole time. Getting the 5K footage on this wasn't super straightforward. I had to run it through like OBS Hook and send it to my second PC, and it didn't want to do it right away, so we had to do a little bit of a workaround. This is worth noting if you are planning on streaming in 5K that not all games will run well on it. We played this at ultra settings with ray tracing off, path tracing off, and DLSS turned on. We got 87 FPS on average and 55 on the 1% lows. And Night City just looks awesome in 5K. The resolution alone just is awesome. So the question, can you game on a 5K monitor with an RTX 5080? Yes, every game was more than playable, And genuinely, I had a great experience across the board. But the honest truth is that if you pair it with this and you expect to just put everything to the max, you're gonna be disappointed. A lot of titles that you're gonna play, you're gonna have to turn DLSS off, and you're gonna have to find the sweet spot in the settings for the game. You have to make decisions. So when you do that though, the 5080 absolutely delivers at 5K. The sharpness, the clarity, the detail, it's all there. And it's a real meaningful upgrade over 4K. So are these new monitors only for the 5090? No. But the 5090 will give you a ton more headroom and more freedom to just turn things on without thinking about it. But the 5080 just makes you work a little bit harder for it. The experience at the end is still excellent. So if you're eyeing the new LG 5K monitor, the 5080 will absolutely run it. Dial in your settings, use DLSS, and the experience is next level. But you guys have to let me know, do you even care about ray tracing, or is that something that we don't really need anyway? Should they have put 24 gigs of VRAM on the 5080? I think we all know the answer to that. If this video helped you out, go ahead and like the video. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.